Good morning, everyone. It's Donna Maria, and welcome to the Lifestyle CEO Show, where we empower you to enjoy your life, build your business, and have your way. I hope you enjoyed yesterday's guest, my first guest on episode 11. That was so much fun. Jennifer Waller, if you're out there, thank you so much for joining me and sharing your own take on being a lifestyle CEO. So if you're watching the replay, welcome. Please leave a note below and let me know that you're watching the replay. If you're here live, give me a shout, say hi. And if the information I share here is helpful to you and you have some friends who you think might be interested, please use the share button and help me spread the word and help other women understand and embrace being a lifestyle CEO and what a great thing it is for your life and for your business. Today, I want to talk with you about something that I call an epidemic. It's an entrepreneurial epidemic, and it is the epidemic of sameness. The epidemic of sameness. Now, an epidemic is something that is just like spreading, like it's spreading like wildfire. It's hard to control, it's hard to tame, and it's everywhere you turn. And I think in entrepreneurship today, there is an epidemic of sameness. Now, listen, it is true that in certain industries, certain things have to be done a certain way. So for example, if your industry is regulated, well, you have to follow the same regulations as everyone else follows. So that's just one example of something that is the same no matter where you go, and no matter where you look, and no matter what your business is in that particular industry. But aside from situations like that, I'm still seeing what I call an epidemic of sameness. And it's hurting people. It's hurting people because the epidemic of sameness results in an inability to distinguish what you have to offer from what everyone else has to offer. So what happens is you start a business in a particular industry, and one of the first things you do is you look and see what other people are doing. And the second thing you do is kind of mimic that. And sometimes not only mimic it, but cut and paste it. Like literally cutting and pasting. I've worked with some clients and seen some of my members who tell me that they went to someone's site in their industry and they had cut and paste their whole about page or their whole some other page and had forgotten to change all the words in it. So their name was still there. Their name was still there. Now, if you're drafting a website and you need placeholder material for something that is not published yet, that's one thing. But if you are literally hijacking someone else's intellectual property to quote unquote make your life easier and try to make your business successful, you are contributing to the epidemic of sameness. And it is not going to help you in the long run. It may not even help you in the short run. Like it feels good to get it done at first, but in the long run, like you can't possibly tell people what's different about your business if it's the same as everyone else's. So here's what I think is causing this, a couple things. The first thing is I think people have lost an ability to clarify what they want their lives to look like. Now, in my Indie method, which is my sequential entrepreneurial training, emerge, engage, evolve, and expand, the very first step of the Indie method is clarify what you want your life to look like. Like, what do you want in your life? How do you want your life to look? Because when you layer a business on top of that, you're going to have to be able to say yes and no when it comes to your business based on what you want your life to look like. And so I think people have lost the ability to do that. I can't tell you how many people I have walked through this training or introduced to this training, and the first question is, what do you want your life to look like? And their eyes glaze over because they have never thought of it that way before. They've been taught, well, my business has to have a funnel, and I have to have a website, and I have to have social media, and I have to have an about page, and I have to have all this stuff. And it's like, yeah, you do, but you also have to have a life. And if you don't have a life, layering a business on top of that is not going to be fun. And that's one of our 5 F's. We want to have fun in our businesses, right? So if you don't know what you want, there's no way that you can layer a business on top of that with any clarity. And you know, too, if you've heard of the book, The Success Principles by Jack Canfield, I think success principle number 1 is, I think he calls it take responsibility for your life. But what it translates into in the exercise that you do in that step is you actually write down what you want. Like, what do you want in your life? And he instructs you to be really, really super specific. So I think this has to come before you layer a business on it. You have to know what your platform is before you put something on it. Like, you need a plate before you put food on it. So your life is the plate, and then the business on top of that. So I really want to encourage you to overcome this by, if you're in business and things aren't going the way they need to go, or you feel like you're at a point where you're like, like maybe it's your life is not congruent with the business, or the business is not congruent with the life. And maybe the reason for that is just the time wasn't taken on the front end to consider and clarify what you want your life to look like. Okay, so that leads me to the second reason I think this is happening. And that is people aren't taking the time to think anymore. I mean, really, here's what I hear all the time. Think big. Like, think big. What does that mean? Does that mean think multi-million-dollar corporation? Does that mean think lots of employees? Does that mean think lots of money? Like, what does that mean? And if you want to think big, what does that mean to you? But here's what I want you to do. And I wrote a blog post about this at Indie Business Blog a couple of years ago. And I think the title of it is Stop Thinking Big and Just Think. Like, just think. I think what people don't do today a lot is, and this is the solution to the problem, is to carve out space in your life to think. Like, just have a think day. Have a think hour. Have some time every single week on a repeat basis when you just sit down with a blank piece of paper, some doodle pens, or your favorite, highlighters or whatever, and just think. Think about new strategies. Think about new things that you can do to set yourself apart so you're not a part of the epidemic of sameness, right? Think about what it is that you want to create for the long term in your business and how you want things to look in 5 years and 10 years and 20 years. Really just set aside some time to think. I think that's one of the things we're missing. We're just not thinking. We're executing all the time. And if you're executing all the time, you will eventually exhaust yourself. And you will lose your way because you can't just do and do and do and do and do. You have to stop and think about what it is that you're doing. Think about how you want things to look in a few years. Think about where it is that you're going. So again, in the epidemic of sameness, the first thing to do if you find yourself unable to distinguish your business from other people's businesses, which is what you need to do to be successful, think about whether you've really clarified what you want your whole life palette to look like. And then sit down and think about what you're doing. Stop looking at what everyone else is doing. Stop paying attention to all the Instagram feeds. Stop paying attention to all the Facebook feeds. Stop subscribing to every single thing. You have to find a balance. Of course you need to learn. We all need to learn. And in order to learn, you have to look at what other people are doing. And you have to take advice from other people so you can sift through it and throw some of it away and keep the nuggets that are really helpful to you. But at the end of the day, at some point, you just can't continue to do that. You've got to be able to pull away, and you've got to be able to do things that you think are going to work. Which leads me to point number 3. The third reason for the epidemic of sameness is people are afraid to disassociate themselves from the result. They want to buy a Facebook ad and they want to see this immediate result. They want to get on Instagram and they want to see this immediate number of followers. And if the follower count isn't going up, then things aren't working. And they want to set up a Facebook group and they want all these people to come in and joyously connect with them and learn about their products and the services that they offer, but they're unwilling to disassociate themselves completely from the outcome. Now, this is a little bit of a shift in thinking and it also requires a little bit of a balance for entrepreneurs because at the end of the day, you do want a return on investment for everything you do. And obviously you're on social media and you're in a Facebook group from a professional perspective so you can get sales. Like that's what you want. Like that's your number one job as an entrepreneur for the business side of your life is to generate sales. And we all get that. But here's the thing. There is no direct line to sales. There's no hire a sales rep and they go out there and they come back in a month and they've made a certain number of sales. Now that does happen, but it's not a straight line. Okay, it's not a straight line. You don't go from your website to a straight line onto Facebook to sales. You don't go from your website to a straight line on Instagram onto sales. And when you see people doing that well, it's largely because they've been doing it for a while. So if you're just starting out, or if you're just restarting, because a lot of people are restarting or rebranding, don't expect that the line is going to be straight for you. Don't expect to see that. And you've got to be able to look for more than one outcome. So disassociate yourself from the ultimate sales outcome and think about what other outcomes you can look for and benefit from. So for example, if you run a Facebook ad, you may or may not get sales. Like people will go to the landing page and they may or may not buy things. But that's not the only outcome that you should wed yourself to. You should look for the outcome of subscribers. You should look for the outcome of people sharing. You should look for the outcome of people calling you or emailing you through your website to ask questions about your products. Or even to ask general questions because maybe they want you to speak somewhere, or maybe they want you to contribute to some worthy cause or something. And you can't say yes to all those things, but those are opportunities. And even though they're not the opportunity that you thought might result from a Facebook ad or from whatever you did, which was, sales, it can result in other things that are at least as valuable and that in themselves can also lead to sales. So disassociating yourself from the outcome is a super, super important, and it's a skill. Like it's not natural for us to do that, right? If I take the dog out for a walk, I want to have a nice walk with him, but I also want him to poop and I want him to pee. Right? Because I don't want to bring him back in the house until he's done that. Like those are my ultimate goals. But I'm also going to smell some flowers. I might stop and say hi to some neighbors. Sometimes he might not be in the mood to do it when I ask him to do, so I got to take him out again. I might notice that, my bushes need to be trimmed, so I'll make a mental note to call the guy to trim the bushes. So there's all sorts of things that I want you to get used to looking for that are not like in this nice, neat little package. And this is what you have to do as an entrepreneur, you guys. You have to be able to disassociate yourself from all the things that you expect so you can see all the magic that can happen, all the things that you can't predict. There is so much good about entrepreneurship that you can't predict. And you have to become comfortable with living in an entrepreneurial world where you can't predict everything, where everything doesn't have this nice little package and neat outcome, right? So again, to overcome this epidemic of sameness for entrepreneurs, number one, I want you to clarify exactly what you want your life to look like. I want you to get out a calendar and write down time frames when all you do is think. All you do is think about your business. Think about what you want to happen. Think about a strategy. Think about a model. Think about how you can set yourself apart so you're not in the epidemic of sameness. Remember the other day, the last 2 days of my show, we've been talking about the blue ocean. You want to be in a blue ocean, not a red ocean. And when I tell my clients that, their eyes just open up like, and I work with people who do this. Like they've got a blue ocean. You met one of them yesterday, Jennifer Waller at Celtic Complexion. Total blue ocean. Not an easy place to get to, but very, very blue. Nobody else is competing with her. You can do this, but it requires you to take some time, sit down and strategize about exactly what you want to do. And then the third thing is to make sure that you're not so wedded to particular outcomes that you lose sight of the magic, that you lose sight of the wonder, that you lose sight of the spontaneity that helps to make entrepreneurship a lot more fun and to give you a lot more freedom to not be in a box that everyone else is in, not in the entrepreneurial sameness box, and get out and create your own box in your own ocean. So think about those things, those three things, making sure that you know what you want, making sure that you carve out time, and making sure that you take, just not be so wedded to the outcome of every little thing that you do, because it constrains you, and it makes you tense too, like, oh my gosh, I did this thing and I didn't get any sales, and so you go like this, like I didn't get any sales, and oh my God, what am I going to do? Like, feel yourself when that happens, like every bone in your body and all your muscles are all tensed up. But if you look for the other opportunities in that thing, if you look for the other things that might have happened and probably did, but you don't see them because you're not looking for them, what you're going to see is other opportunities that you didn't expect that you can capitalize on for the benefit of your life and your business. Practice this stuff, okay? I want you to write these 3 things down, get out of the epidemic of sameness, and if you need help on that, I want you to head over to my website at donnamaria.com. You can click on the Work With Me link. I'd love to work with you to help you distinguish yourself in ways that you probably aren't seeing, and to help you understand the importance of these concepts and to really put them into play for your business so that you can stop wearing yourself out and stressing yourself out with all this tenseness and all this sameness, right? Because you can't distinguish yourself from anyone else. That is stressful. And when you are distinguished from other people, it's not stressful anymore. It starts to become fun. I want to help you do that. So you can go check that out at donnamaria.com. You can send me an email, donnamaria@donnamaria.com, or click the Work With Me link and sign up for some consulting time. I would love to meet with you, and I'd love to help you. So I hope this was helpful. Thank you for joining me on today's Lifestyle CEO Show. I will see you guys tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern, 7 a.m. Pacific. Have a great day. Bye-bye.